When I wrote the song, I didn't have a murder case. And it just made me feel like my pen created this. Like, and I look back at all of the rappers that was writing about death. They all dead.
All right, the informant back in the building. So we all know the song from Snoop Dogg, Murder Was the Case, right? Now, this video came out a long time ago, but I think at the time, a lot of messages in this music video went over a lot of people's heads, right? To start off, the crow flies in the window of Snoop Dogg's hospital room, right? Which the crow is a symbol of death. Then that same crow transformed into a man and starts to bargain with Snoop Dogg for his soul. I don't think a lot of people knew that dialogue was about Snoop Dogg understanding the terms of what the entity was offering him for his soul, right? Which was fame, fortune, and to get out of the situation that he was currently in. Now, we see this type of pattern all the time in Hollywood and the entertainment industry overall, right? For example, the movie The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino. Al Pacino played the devil and Keanu Reeves played a lawyer, and Al Pacino was promising Keanu Reeves he would be the biggest lawyer, never lose a case, but only thing he needed to do for in return for all the success was to give his soul to Al Pacino. Now, this is the same thing that's happening in the Snoop Dogg video. The crow that turned into a man basically was offering Snoop Dogg success in exchange for his soul. Now, ironically, Snoop Dogg wrote this song before he actually caught a murder case that he was fighting in real life, right? And he explained in the video that I started off with that he felt like his pen actually came to life. Now, in today's music industry, we see this type of stuff happening all the time with these drill rappers, right? They talk about so many negative things, and that same negative thing end up happening to them, right? So this is not a coincidence. This is actually how the universe works. For example, Biggie and Tupac spoke about their deaths before they died. Tupac had a song called To Live and Die in LA, while Biggie had an album called Life After Death. Now, if that's not spooky, I don't know what is. Especially for Biggie, because Biggie album cover for that specific album, Life After Death, he was standing next to a hearse, not knowing his body would be in that same hearse. Not exactly that same hearse, but in the same position that he's perpetuating on his album cover. Now back to Snoop. He flirted with the dark side a lot during his career. It was almost before people realized what he was actually putting on screen. If y'all remember the movie Bones, where Snoop Dogg character was killed by his friends, Snoop died, then he came back to life and came and got revenge on all his friends. And years later, Snoop admitted something that changes how the song is heard.
So a lot of times when I performed that song, I would cry on stage. Like, it would really emotionally touch me because when I wrote the song, I didn't have a murder case.
That's when you realize this wasn't just a character he was playing. Why would a song that changed his life make him cry? But it was because this song wasn't specifically tied to any type of success like an award show or winning a Grammy. It was tied to something that almost led to his demise. Him losing his family and losing everything that he worked for. Because remember, like he said, when he wrote this song, he didn't have a trial going on. But after he wrote the song and put it out, what he said in the song actually became his reality. And this is exactly why I mentioned the movie The Devil's Advocate, because this song was supposed to serve a purpose of bringing him success, right? But it almost backfired on him. Just imagine you're an artist and you finally got that one song that started to take off. But right as that song is starting to take off, you end up with some mysterious murder case. Now, the song is taken off and now you're going to court back and forth fighting for your freedom, not knowing if you're even going to be free to enjoy the success of this song. And that's the devil's advocate part about this. You got what you was asking for, but there was a price for it, right? And this is why Murder Was the Case wasn't just remembered, it was felt. What's interesting is that even after Snoop beat the case, he didn't even look relieved. He still looked weighed down.
We, the jury in above entitled action, find the defendant, Calvin Brodus, not guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree.
Some songs launch careers, others leave marks you don't see on the charts. So from the outside looking in, Murder Was the Case seemed like a victory to everyone, right? But no one really saw what Snoop was really going through behind the scenes. Yes, they saw him going to court, but they didn't even know he would be traumatized performing the song, having to break down in tears just from his journey to get through that case. Fame always looks so perfect from the outside, but on the inside, we don't really see what it cost. And I'm sure it's a lot of us that try to find these answers in YouTube and other platforms. A lot of us were aspiring artists, musicians, producers, whatever. But as you dig more deep into the subject, you're starting to see things that doesn't
all of this.
In what we call which language, give you kind of for the spell to work. Being a Christian won't block it. And rock music is not just a song. It is supernatural music that which is carefully designed by their spirit guides or familiar spirits in the form of spells. Now, although the devil's music's power is the music and God's music is the words, much of the songs are written in what we call which language. Give you kind of an idea. Many of you talk on a CB, unless you know what a smoky is, and a 10-4, and a front door and back door and rocking chair and these type of things. You don't know what you're talking about. Same with witches. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else mean something totally different than when you say them. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in which language. And I want to show you something. See how many kids in here, be honest, and adults. How many remember and have heard at least several times a song called Hotel California?
The mining, I'm there at the mining. This whole industry, this whole system, all this shit mining. All this shit ran off of money. All this shit do not mean nothing. It's very demanding. This whole music industry is very demanding. This the mining, I'm there at the mining.
And this is why a lot of us is on that journey searching for information before we go diving into something that we don't understand. The Informant, I'm out.